All right, let's dive into the official rulebook for every government employee in the Philippines. We're talking about showing up, putting in the hours, and what happens when you don't. It gets pretty serious, so let's get right into it. So, let me start with a question for you. How many times can you be late before you get fired from a government job? You know, a few minutes here, an unauthorized day off there. Where's the line? You might be surprised by the actual numbers. Stick around, and you'll know exactly what the official rules say.
So where does all this come from? Well, it's all laid out in this memorandum circular from the Civil Service Commission, the CSC. Now, what's really important to get here is that this memo didn't actually create new rules. Nope. It was a reminder, a way of saying to every single government agency, hey, remember these long-standing policies? We're serious about them.
Okay, before we get into the nitty-gritty of minutes and days, we gotta understand the foundation. Why do these rules even exist? Well, it all boils down to a core principle of public service. This right here is from the Philippine Constitution itself. It's the promise that binds every single person working in government. The idea is simple. A government job isn't just a job, it's a public trust. And honestly, being present and on time, that's the most basic, fundamental form of accountability to the people you're there to serve.
So, keeping that duty in mind, let's look at the what. What does a day of service actually look like according to the rulebook? Let's break down the basics.
The official term they use is prescribed office hours. And this isn't some flexible guideline. It's the minimum standard, a full 40 hours of work every week, spread out over 5 days. That's the baseline for pretty much everyone.
So, as a general rule, the day kicks off at 8 a.m. sharp and runs until noon. That's 4 hours of service in the morning.
And then after a 1-hour lunch break, it's right back to it, from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. That right there completes the mandatory 8-hour workday.
So you might be wondering, how does the government make sure this is actually followed? Through some really meticulous record keeping. Every single employee has to log their attendance every day, whether it's with an old-school Bundy clock or some other approved system. And this rule is absolute. It's not just for people in an office. If your job is out in the field or even on the water, your time has to be recorded. No exceptions.
Okay, so we've got the standard down. Now for the really critical part. What officially counts as breaking these rules? The Civil Service Commission is super specific about this. It really boils down to two main violations: habitual absenteeism and habitual tardiness. Absenteeism is all about taking those unauthorized days off. Tardiness, on the other hand, is about being late. And get this, it doesn't matter if you're 1 minute late or 1 hour late. Late is late. Let's dig a little deeper into what these actually mean.
So to get flagged for habitual absenteeism, it's not just about having one bad month. You have to rack up unauthorized absences. We're talking absences beyond your allowed leave credits for at least 3 months within a 6-month semester. Or you could do it for 3 straight months at any point during the year.
Now, the line for tardiness is incredibly specific. It becomes habitual when you are late 10 or more times in just 1 month. And if that pattern happens for 2 months in a semester or for 2 months in a row, boom, you've officially committed the offense.
So, let's say you've been flagged for being habitually absent or tardy. What happens next? This is the so what part. This is where the rules show they have real teeth. Let's look at the penalties.
First things first, we have to understand the severity. The Civil Service Commission classifies habitual absenteeism as a grave offense. That word, grave, is a major signal. It means the consequences are going to be severe right from the very first time.
Now, in contrast, habitual tardiness starts off as a light offense. This suggests that the penalties will ramp up more gradually. But, and this is a big but, don't let that word light fool you because the consequences can become just as serious.
And here it is, the breakdown of the penalties. Look at the two very different paths here. For habitual tardiness, the light offense, it's basically a 3-strike system. First time, you get a reprimand. Second time, you're suspended for up to a month. The third time, you're dismissed, fired. Now look at the path for habitual absenteeism, the grave offense. There is no warning shot. The very first offense is an immediate suspension for 6 months to a year. And the second offense? Straight to dismissal. There is no third chance.
And that leaves us with a pretty big question. The rules are crystal clear, right? They're designed to make sure people are held accountable. But do these strict, numbers-based systems really lead to better public service? Or do they risk creating a culture of fear, where just ticking the boxes matters more than passion and dedication? It's a really important balance to think about. Thanks for tuning in.